Today's workout is a 15-minute C-section resistance band workout. We're going to focus on strengthening and rebuilding our core and glutes using a resistance band. If you don't have one, that's fine too. You'll still get a great workout. It's 50 seconds on and 10 seconds off, so you can work at your own pace. Let's get started. Hey mamas, welcome to today's workout. We are doing a 20-minute resistance band abs and glutes workouts for C-section mamas, but it also works for anyone who's had a baby or is just looking to strengthen their core and their glutes. Use a light to medium resistance band, or you can do this without a resistance band. Let's place that band on the meaty part of our quads above the knees. We're gonna come to a supine or lying position with your feet close to your butt. Hands by your side. We're gonna do a glute bridge with an abduction. So lift your hips, squeeze your glutes, and then drive the knees out, in, and tap the glutes. Do it again. Go up, out, in, and tap. So the knees are driving out, heels are staying down. As we drive the hips up, we wanna brace the core by pulling the belly button in toward the spine, squeezing the glutes, and then using those outer hip muscles, the abductors, to open and close the legs. So this is gonna give us that nice lifted round booty and also strengthen our hips to support our core and pelvic floor muscles. We're working for 50 seconds and resting for 10 seconds. If you need a longer break, take it. If you can't do the full 50-second interval, don't worry about it. Work your way up to it. It's a postpartum workout, so respect where your body is at. Couple more and we'll rest. One more. And rest. Okay, we're gonna move to an abduction pulse. So we're gonna keep the hips up and pulse out and in. Little movements at the top. Ready? So drive those hips up. We're just gonna go out and in, keeping those knees pressing out so we keep that tension in those outer hips. Now your band, the resistance is gonna vary with the band. So if this becomes too difficult, you can always lose the band. But we're just trying to keep the heels down so the hips stay stable and keep the hips as high as possible as we're driving those knees out and in. So that way we're engaging our hips, our glutes, and this also works those deep core and pelvic floor muscles, which is what we really want to focus on postpartum, on rebuilding, so we can rebuild our core for function and strength purposes. It's not always about looks, but we want to improve the function of our core most of all. Couple more here. And rest. All right, we're gonna move to a glute bridge with a walk out. So we're gonna take those hips up, walk the feet out, out, in, and drop the hips down. Let's repeat on the other side, walking with the opposite foot out and then lightly tapping the hips down. So as you're walking the legs out and in, or the feet out and in, we wanna be mindful to keep the hips nice and stable. That's the goal here. Squeeze those glutes and then lightly tap so we're controlling the movement on the way down. Again, we're improving our core function means we've got to improve our core stability. So doing things like this, like a bridge with movement or some ab exercise with moving the legs, that's going to create some instability. So the core has to work harder to stabilize itself. And that's where we get stronger here. And rest. All right, we're gonna go to a reverse tabletop bridge. So carefully come up to a seated position with your hands under your shoulders and your fingertips fan outward. We're gonna drive the hips up to make a tabletop, squeeze your glute, brace your belly, and then bring your hips back under your knees. Let's do that again, or back under your shoulders. Lift, and then hips come back under your shoulders. As you lift again, drive through your hips, drive through your heels, squeeze your butt at the top, pull that belly in, swing it back. So it's gonna involve your arms a little bit too, your shoulders a little bit. But again, we want that movement to come from the core. So we want to control it here, squeeze, use that core to lower down all the way under those shoulders. That's going to be the challenge here, all the way back under those shoulders. If you can, if it's too intense, you can just drop straight down and rest here a few more seconds. But you're going to get those big core benefits the more you can swing those hips back. Couple more here. And rest. All right, we're gonna move on to a bent leg abduction ab exercise. So come down, lying on your back, palms facing up this time, legs over your knees over your hips. And we're gonna drop one leg out and in, back leg out and in. So your knees are over your hips, just one leg is moving at a time, out and in. Like those glute bridges, it's the same movement, the abduction, but this time we want to be careful to engage our core, belly button pulled in towards spine, lower back toward the mat, and then palms are facing up so we're not gripping the floor. Knees directly over the hips. If you start to notice your knees pulling in, push them away. That's going to build that tension in your core, keep the pressure there where we want it. And if it's too intense, like I said earlier, you can lose that band, do it without. It's not a big movement. You can see the band is creating that resistance, so I'm not able to drop my leg very far, and that is good. You want that resistance there. Even if you're not using the band, don't drop your leg very far, just a few inches out and in, so you're controlled and stable. Rest here. We're gonna move to a leg circle, keeping those knees bent. So little tiny circles, we're gonna take the legs down, around, and up. Let's repeat that. So it's down, around, and up. Now you can see when I go down, I'm not going all the way to the floor, just a few inches down, and then make a tiny circle about the size of a bicycle wheel. Again, if you've got the resistance band that's gonna restrict you, that's good. We want that tension in the glutes, and it's in our core here. So lower back pressing toward the floor, palms up, belly button pulled in like you've got Spanx on. I like to think of it as zippers, zipping everything in nice and tight so I'm controlled. If you feel good here, you could start to take the legs a little bit further away from you, a little bit lower. But again, respect where your body's at. I'm not going very far down. I'm newly postpartum myself, trying to work on my ab separation. So this is a diastasis recti, safe exercise when done properly. Okay, we're gonna move to a straight leg split. So legs up to the sky. We're gonna drop one leg at a time, just slightly down and bring it back up. Other leg slightly down and bring it back up. So I'm not going all the way to the floor, far from it, just a few inches down and up. That resistance band again is going to provide that restriction, and even just a few inches movement with strong technique will get you the benefits here. So we want that lower back pressing down, belly pulled in, everything nice and tight, zipped up, and then just slowly dropping the leg. And you could start to work a little bit lower, but again, the goal is not to lower the leg as close as possible to the floor. It's to lower the leg and bring it back up with control, and we feel that resistance from the band. Couple more here. Good work. Okay, we're gonna move on to a leg drop. This time, we're gonna do both legs same time. So, both legs go down, both legs come up. Nice and controlled, start gentle. So you're just going a few inches in front. Again, we wanna focus on that transverse abdominis, so everything's pulled in, lower back's pressing down. That's how you know your core is engaged. If you start to feel that back lifting, your abs pooching or unable to maintain control, that's how you know you need to modify it. And a good modification would be bending the knees here, or again, taking off that band. Now, if you want a little more tension, you split the legs a little bit so you feel those outer hips. But again, we're moving both legs same time here. Couple more. Ooh, this one's getting tough. Tough on the abs and the legs. Rest. Okay, we're gonna move on to leg extensions, starting with the knees over the hips. So we're gonna go out and in with that front leg only. So out and in, front leg. Now you can start here at 45 degrees. You can take the leg a little lower, almost to the floor if you can. But again, that band is going to add that resistance, so you probably won't be able to get your leg all the way to the floor. That's okay. If this is even too intense, you can take it up to the ceiling. But just like we did in those previous exercises, knees are over the hips. So we're not releasing that pressure in the lower abs. Same thing here, lower back pressing toward the mat, belly pulled in. Starting to feel that fatigue right here. You're doing awesome. Stay with it. Rest. All right, we're gonna do the exact same thing, this time on the other side. So knees back over those hips. Deep breath, here we go. Take it out and in. thinking 45 degrees, or if you feel like you can go a little more advanced, start to take that leg a little lower to the floor. You'll also feel a lot of these in your legs because we're working those quads as well. So if you feel too much burn in your legs, just take a break, work your way up to it. It also helps if you stretch and foam roll your quads before and after the workout, and I've got videos for that as well on my channel. Good, keep that core tight, we're almost there. Rest. Okay, we're gonna move on to a clam. So you're gonna bring your elbow under your shoulder, hip in line with elbow, heels in line with hips. 90 degrees, we're gonna lift those hips up, open the legs out, in, and tap the hip. Let's repeat. Go up, out, in, tap. Pushing out of your forearm, lifting through the underside of your waist, so your hip, your obliques, you're zipping up that core at the top, and you're using those deep core and pelvic floor muscles, those outer hip muscles. We're getting everything here. Keeping those heels together. It doesn't matter how much you can open and close your legs. If it's too intense with the band though, make sure to take it off. We wanna be strong and stable at the top of that movement, and we wanna be lifted in our hips. So that's the important thing, is those hips are lifted. Even if you need to come down here and keep your glute on the floor, your hip is still lifted. You're not here, you're lifted and have good posture. And let's rest. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing. This time, we're gonna do a little pulse at the top. So we're gonna stay up, deep breath, pull that belly in, open and pulse. Little pulse. Keeping those heels together, squeezing the glute. Whew, this one's intense, I know. And it's a long interval. So remember your options. You can always shorten the interval. You can always take a break. Or you can drop the hip down, open and pulse here. This one is great because you're still getting those benefits, but it does decrease intensity, so you can stay in it a little bit longer. And when you're ready, you come back up. Maybe for the last few seconds, we can all come up here together. Last 10, let's do it. Keeping that core tight. Oh, those obliques, those hips, all of it's working together here. So good. And rest. All right, we're gonna swivel around to the other side. Do that same sequence on the other side. So starting with a clam lift, elbow under shoulder, elbow, hips, heels in line, brace that belly lift, open, close, and tap. So we're actively pressing through that forearm. We wanna keep the shoulder away from the ear, your head supported, your neck nice and neutral. Driving through those hips. Again, pulling the belly in, zipping up that core, using the obliques here. Feels good to work hard. These exercises are challenging regardless of if you've had a baby or not. This is a great workout to do to just strengthen your glutes and core, which weak glutes equal a weak core. If you're sitting a lot, or if you just have weak glutes in general, or a flat butt, you've got a weak core and you need them to be strong to support a strong core and to just have a fuller looking glutes. Who doesn't want that? Okay, moving on to those clam pulses. We're gonna lift and pulse. Here we go. Whole interval, we're here. Pulling that belly in. Whoo, this one's gonna burn, but it's gonna be good. We're getting near the end of the workout, so stay with me. Now remember your options here. I don't want you collapsing into that shoulder. I want that hip lifted. If you can't keep it lifted, you come down and you pulse it here. Or you lose the band again. You're still gonna get the benefits without the band, but it will be quite a bit easier. You'll notice a difference. So if you're newly postpartum, like very recently postpartum, make sure first of all you're clear to exercise and make sure you've done a few of my other videos first. But I would suggest without the band if you're newly postpartum. Almost there. 3, 2, 1. Oh man, okay. Coming to hands and knees. Bracing our belly, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. We're moving to a hydrant. So that front knee is gonna stay bent. We're gonna lift the leg up and then bring it back down, staying on that same side. So you're lifting the leg as high as you can without leaning into your opposite hand and hip. So keeping your hips and chest square to the floor, keeping that belly pulled in toward the spine. And again, with or without the band, we want to drive through that hip. We're not trying to hike the knee up and use momentum like that. We want to control the movement from the core. And for me, it helps to breathe out at the top. Pull that belly in, breathe in, release that pressure. Moving slow. All these exercises are better performed slow and controlled. It's not about how many reps you get. It's about the quality of movement. Almost there. Reset, shift back onto your hips. If you need to, we're gonna repeat on the other side for the finish. Pull that belly in. And here we go. Keeping everything square to the floor. Pressing evenly through your hands. Again, trying to keep your shoulders back and down so you're not collapsing into that front arm. I'm gonna keep everything really strong here. Home stretch, we're almost there. And rest. Now you can shift back onto your hands. You can remove the band. Like I mentioned earlier, I've got some great stretch workouts postpartum and then foam rolling workouts to help you release some of that pressure in your hips and glutes that we just worked very hard. So make sure to stretch it out and be sure to check out my other postpartum workouts to help you get strong, healthy on your postpartum journey. Thanks for working out with me, and I will see you here next time.